A warm welcome back to Attingham Park for episode 10 with me, Mr. Sealy P. It's 4:30 in the early evening and I've assembled a crack team. I've got a Rowley Christie 1 loading platform. It is an auto load, but this is what I was talking about in the last episode. I should never have given back. Well, I should have done. I've leased a Manitou. I've leased the V-Grab from, again, I keep saying it's the add-on straw harvest, I'm pretty sure it is. And on the back, I've got an Art Mechanic PT25 weight. That's a 1,500. You can double that to a 3,000 if you've got a lot of weight going on the front, because I'm going to be picking up 4 bales at a time. I thought that would make sense. I've also leased this. I've leased it because I've spent so much money and I haven't made any back. I'm going to have to, at the end of the episode, even if I don't sell them all at the end of the episode, but I start, I'm going to have to start getting rid of those onions because there's 150,000 litres sitting there and that's money that could be in the bank, really. I'm finding it all very harrowing. This is a Harrow Wing. This is the Harrow Wing 16. It's manufactured by Mantrid. And it was mentioned a little while ago that I should think about getting this. And I've lost my piece of paper. Again, you know what I'm like. I do this all the time. I have all my little slips of paper with people's names and bits of information. And I put them down and I forget where I've put them. If I remember in editing, I'll put the person's name up. But thank you for mentioning it. It is 16 metre. The great thing about this is you can have it in all different manufacturers. You can have it with a beacon, you can have it with work lights and all sorts of stuff. Now, our field here, field 41? 41's. The carrots are ready to harvest as well, by the way, but we'll have to do that next episode, I think. Yeah, this needs to be cultivated because neither my seeder or my planter are direct drills, so this has got to be cultivated before we can do anything. Plus, I've taken on a cultivating job, because I thought I need to make a bit of money back. So there's a cultivating job there, but there's also, there was a fertilising job for about 13 grand. So if I can get the cultivating done quickly and jump onto the fertilising job, I can make back the money that I've spent on leasing these bits. I really wanted to buy one of these, so once we get enough money, I'm probably going to buy one. And like I said, I want to get a wheel loader, skid steer loader, something along those lines, but for the time being, I'm going to use this. So what I'm going to do is let's get this going. It looks much bigger than 16 metres to me, but so I went with the Deutzfahr version. One, because it's called CP green, but don't often use much Deutzfahr stuff. I'm hoping to hit the fence, kind of. Let's just drop it down. And it shouldn't, like I say, it shouldn't take too long. Hopefully. Oh, it's big, isn't it? Loads of configuration options. Beacons either end if you want your beacons on. Work lights on the back of it as well, so you can see what you're doing when inevitably it gets dark. I like it. I like it a lot. I've used all different cultivators and stuff, and I tend to go, I mean, the only thing about it is I tend to try as best as I can to go for options which give me the maximum size for minimum price, and you know, I try and balance it as best I can. I never, it's weird how sometimes I'll do a kind of, I suppose everybody does it, don't they? If it's something you want and you can justify it any way you want, then can't you? So you'll happily pay anything to a degree for something you really want. And then other times you'll be doing stuff and thinking, well, no, like I say, I need to get the best I can, the biggest I can for the cheapest amount or the best value. And that's generally what I do. But other times you then go and spend 3 times that on something that appears to be quite frivolous. It's weird, isn't it, how the human mind works? I don't know. I suppose we all kind of do it to some degree on different things, don't we? I say that, that's a generalisation. There'll be some that say, I don't. Always reminds me of Monty Python. Whenever things like that pop into my head, there's always that one person in the crowd. Anyway, So yeah, loads to do. That's going to have to be sorted. So I think what I would do is I'll get the cultivating done on here. I'm going to get the bales sorted out and moved over. If I can get that cultivating job done and potentially the fertilising job before it gets too dark, then in the morning we will, the bales off of our grass field will be over in the shed by the sheep pen. We'll get the sheep in and we'll get this planted, and then I think the next episode will have to be carrots, won't it? Because with all these carrots. Oh yeah, onions. So I was going to try and get rid of some onions, didn't I? I think I'm going to need to lease. Another reason why picking up. Wow, this has got quite a big turning circle, hasn't it? I suppose it is a rather large implement, and this is a quite tight corner of the field. To be fair, it's not. It's not like I'm making a meal of a very standard bit of field. It's. I mean, I am making a meal of it, but it's not a standard bit of field. I think it's what I was trying to say. Yeah, conveyor belt I think I might need, maybe. But I think if I can pick up a few more contracts here and there, I can cover the leasing costs. I mean, I've got enough money in the bank. I've got 133 grand. It's not like I've got no money. But if I'm going to buy some sheep as well, I'm not going to go mad on those either. And we are going to get more cows. I just wanted to kind of get started off, really. It's very smooth. I like it. It's funny actually, one thing I was thinking the other day, what did I play? I was doing something, I put something on just like for 5 minutes. Might have been Gran Turismo, what was it I was playing? And I suddenly thought, one thing that I think is missing as well from this is rumble, like the rumble function. Wouldn't that be cool? Like when you're, doing your cultivating, your ploughing, you get that slight kind of rumble bumps in fields, and going across the ploughed field you get that. I think that would, it's weird when you don't have it, you don't notice it. When you do have it, you kind of get used to it, and then when it's not there, your brain goes, whoa, hang on, something's weird. I just think that'd be quite cool, wouldn't it? Like now, just a little bit of a light rumble, because you know. Just to add that extra little bit of immersion, you know. Okay, I will get to a point where I can get a worker going. Like I say, I'm not going to touch nitrogen on this till I've planted whatever I'm going to put in it, which I haven't quite decided yet. A few people have suggested different things, and it is, I know I've said it before, when you look at prices, you look at soybean and say soybean pays out really well, but it doesn't yield particularly well. It yields lower. I'm sure people have said in the past, I'm sure it's sugar beet is one of the highest paying, but when you look at it on paper it's not, but because it yields so highly it does, so for a field of equal size, or the same field, sugar beet is going to end up paying you out way more than if you stuck soybean in it. But I think, like I've said before, I think because soybean, if you're doing a quick and easy crop, say quick and easy, you know what I mean, whereas sugar beet and things like that are quite labour intensive and take a long time to harvest, I suppose there's always that trade-off, isn't there? It's less runs to go and deliver it and all that kind of thing, so you kind of, your mind or brain goes straight for the higher values and goes, okay, we'll go with something like that. That's paying out really well, and I do it all the time, and stupidly I know in the back of my mind that that's not always the case. Who was it was doing? It might be Bear Papa. Messaged me. Was doing mustard, I think, on Valley View. I think it might have been Valley View, and he said yield was off the charts. I mean, ridiculously high, and was earning an absolute fortune. It was paying out okay, not hugely, but because of the massive yield on it, yeah, mad, isn't it? Okie dokie. The harrowing is continuing with a worker, so it's time to sort out these bales. Now, like I said, this is something I've talked about before, I've done before. You may be new to the channel, you may not do this yourself, you may not have watched the episode where I talked about this. This is a trade-off between autoload trailers, which some people consider to be cheating, and that's fine, absolutely, and manual loading. And I personally think it's a nice trade-off between the two, but you don't have to. If you're using a stacker that stacks them in fours, that's fine, but normally you've got individual bales around the field. And going around manually loading individual bales takes a while. An auto-load trailer or an auto-stack trailer, which is another compromise, works really well for doing that kind of thing, and it's much quicker and easier. I like stacking them in fours because obviously they're already in fours now, and I can go and grab them like that. And I do like manual loading, but if you're starting out, and if like me, it's that weird situation that sometimes you can stack your bales and they look absolutely perfect, other times you stack them and they look like a dog's breakfast, and you don't understand why, because you've done the same thing you always do. So this is a compromise between the two. Now, why am I coming at the stack on this end like this? Well, there's a couple of reasons. One, if any of them are still like this, where they're a little bit all over the place, I was hoping I could kind of get them, there we go, level. Now, there's another reason for this, and this just comes down to an aesthetic thing, and it's to do with the actual loading of the bale trailer. So if I do that, and I pick them all up, now that's showing 8,000, it's not because there's 4 on there, but that's okay. It's because this auto-load trailer, when it auto-loads like this, in this configuration. So what I'm going to do is put the bales on manually. And the great thing with an auto-load trailer, they don't like manual loading particularly, but that's okay because I'm not going to drive away with them like this. I'll put the first load on and unload. Fantastic. But the great thing is, if your stacks are a bit of a mess by the time you finish doing your auto-load, your manual loading, you then just press the auto-load button and it will neatly stack all your bales. So you've kind of compromised, you've done a bit of both. You've done your manual stacking, you've done your manual loading, so you can tick the box and say, you know what, I had to go. There you go, that's a bit better. And you can say to yourself, I tried, I had to go, I manually loaded, and it worked. You know, if you're really, really happy with it, then just leave it. But the problem you've got is often if you manually load an auto-load trailer, they can jostle a little bit if you don't use the auto-load function. You can have these trailers just as a manual load. You don't have to have it as an auto-load either. That would be your choice too. So what I'm going to do, I can't remember how many this holds. I think it might be 40 bales actually. I'll try and get that as close as I can. Actually, you know what? It's that same thing that, you know, it's not working too badly at the moment. I wasn't sure if it'd be okay. Do that. There's a gap at the bottom, but again, that'll be rectified once I've got more stacks on. So what I'm going to do is spend a bit more time manually loading. I'm going to carry on manually loading. Then when I get to the end and I've got a full load on there, or what I think is a full load, because I'm pretty sure it might go another stack up. If it does, that could be a problem, but we'll get to that later. It's not an issue. And then you just kind of recenter it. That's all it is. It's just kind of, you know, best of both worlds, I think, is the best way of putting it. Oh, that didn't work, did it? No. Okay, let's do that. That's odd. Another one. That's better. Now, normally I would be coming from the other side, obviously, but like I say, because the way when this auto loads, it auto loads with them looking like this on the trailer. So it's otherwise you put them on one way and then you press the auto load button and they all then fling around the other way. You kind of lose that. I suppose it's an illusion. I mean, it's not an illusion. I'm manually stacking them. What I can do when I get to further back on the trailer, I can do them regularly, and all I'll do is come from the back of the trailer, put them on like that, and what I can do is just extend the arm out. Or what I can do is extend the arm out and push the bales forward if I wanted to. There's all various different ways of doing it. Again, I always get the feeling I'm teaching Granny to suck eggs, and I know some people don't like it because it's like, well, yeah, I know how to do that, you know. But again, there are a lot of people that don't. There are a lot of people that are new to the game that may have been playing the game for a long time and have not really used auto-load trailers or haven't done a lot of baling work. They've shied away from it or just haven't done it, you know. And if I can help in any way, shape or form to make your life easier, And the same with me, you know, I've done so many things in the past where you do something and, you know, you spend ages doing it and you're very happy with yourself, and then in the comments someone will say something and you'll think, why didn't I think of that? You know, that's so obvious, or that's, you know, that's such a good idea, that's brilliant. You know, just because you do something all the time, it doesn't mean you've got all the answers, it doesn't mean that you know everything. And sometimes you stop and you think, you know what, that is so much better, so much easier, why didn't I think of doing that myself? And that's having an open mind, that's very, very good way to be. Okay, I might do the next one from the back. Sorry, and then I'll leave you. I'll do the rest on my own. I don't want to waste all your time with me just putting bales onto a trailer. But then I will take them round. And the thing is, what you can do from the other end, if you want to, you can manually unload them like onto the trailer, and then unload them at the other end if you want to. You don't have to use the Autoload trailer to unload. You can do it yourself. It depends how far you want to go with it. It depends how much of it you want to do. And the same with the rest of the game generally. I love the fact that you have got the ability to pick and choose how much or how little you kind of want to do yourself. You know, there are options in all the different areas to make life so much easier for yourself if you want to. But if you don't want to, and you want to be as realistic as possible, you absolutely can. And no one is forcing anyone to do anything either way, which is fantastic. So, like I say, if I do that now, push that right out. I think that's as far as I'm going to go, isn't it? Yeah. Then unload that. The next one, I'll do the same, and then just push it into place. So I can do it either way around. In the time it's taken me to manually load this, the cultivating, harrowing, is done on field 40. So I'm going to move that over. The contract field is field 30, which I think is the field I contract harvested in the last episode. Now, as you can see, this is why the auto load thing helps, because I have been pushed on from the back, but I don't think, I'm pretty sure this last one is supposed to, I hope it doesn't fall off. Back up a little bit. And you'll see what I mean. So despite the fact I am chuffed to bits with my loading on that, I think I'm really happy with how that's gone. But you can see there's a gap at the end here. So we've got a gapping there, a little bit of gapping all over the place. With all that gapping squashed up, I think that puts that bale right on. So, and that's the thing about it. That's done. That, I mean, that's perfectly acceptable for transportation. However, if I hop in now, open up that. Let's swing around so we can see. And I just put it into operating position. That takes all those bales, restacks them nice and neatly, and let's be honest, it's not much difference put it into transport position. It has just neatened everything up to make sure they're all on the end. Now, it's no different to how I stacked it. It's just neater. Now, I didn't have to do it, but again, if you've loaded up your wagon and you're looking and think, oh, that's awful, you know, how am I going to get that? It's a nice compromise between the two. Like I said, you know, do it however you want to do it. And then obviously from there, I can unload bales onto the trailer. I can strap them. I'm going to take them over to the sheep shed to store the bales. Obviously I've got 100, 101. It was a weird amount. I was sitting, it was saying 99, which didn't make any sense. Then I found one that was in the back of the baler. I thought, oh, that's where it is. And then all of a sudden I had 101. So I think that errant bale that was over there in the last episode was part of the number but wasn't showing for some reason. Don't know why. So like I say, what I can do now, I can take this over to the shed and then I can manually unload. Just the reverse of what I just did. And the good thing about it is what I could do with enough weight on the telehandler, I could do these in stacks this way. So I could do 8 bales at a time. If I came on an angle here, I could do 8 bales at a time and unload fairly quickly. Or I can do the auto unload. You know, there's either way around. So, you know, it just gives you a few more options to go about it however you want. So I'm going to move the harrow over to field 30, get that contract done. If I can get that done quickly, I'll get the fertilising contract done. I think what I'm going to do is move those bales, and then obviously I need to sort out, there'll be another 40, and then there'll be 20, maybe 20, 21 extra. I don't know if they're all going to fit in the shed in all honesty, but I'll do what I can. And then maybe before bedtime get some onions loading. Just thinking I'm doing what I always do and I'm trying to cram too much in. Maybe I could leave the onions till tomorrow. But it's that frustrating thing, I think, if I've still got daylight hours, it'd be mad not to. So, let's take these round, get them unloaded, then come back and get the next load. .627. The bales are all sorted and are under cover. I may have made a bit of a mistake. I unloaded some, and because I had the 21 bales left over, I would put 2 on the top of each stack. But it's actually, if you look at the roll here, the roll of the shelter, it's a little bit like that. So the top bale sits just higher than the lip. I did them from the end, like came in from the side. I don't know, I'm not going to be able to get them out very easily. But it is what it is. Now, as far as onions go, Mrs. Holland's, which is literally just over there, it's just 2 minutes away, is paying the best price, $2.92 I think it is for onions. Now, I was going to use a conveyor belt, but I'm going to use this. Because the company that wants them wants diced onions to bag up. So I just thought that's the best option, isn't it, really? If they want diced onions, I might as well dice them for them. This should work. It's the quickest way of kind of, like I said, I could get a conveyor belt and do them with a conveyor belt. I was curious to see whether this would do onions, but because it's a little bit of a mauler, I don't know how this is going to work. In all honesty, like I said before, I shouldn't have dumped them in here. I should have just sold them, taken each tray load and just sold them straight away. But because the harvester was it's working. Because the harvester was getting through them so quickly, I was just kept thinking I haven't got time really to get all the way out to a sale point, come all the way back before the harvester's full again. So I just kind of avoided it. Shouldn't have done really. Let's get lights on there. Imagine it's just a blower or something. There we go, got lights in the front as well. So yeah, we'll take them all to Mrs. Holland's. It's not going to be massive amounts of money. We're going to make about 50,000. Is that about right? Does that seem right? 292? No, probably less than that. But it's a very small field, so whilst the yield is very high, we'll do all right considering the size of it. I'm just going with that. While that's filling up, what I am also going to look at is we need the grass field that we've cut needs pH sorting. So I need to lime it and I need to nitrogen it before it fully grows again, so we're good to go for the next cut. And like I said, with both of these, 36 and 40, once I've got crops in them, then we'll get the nitrogen sorted out. For the time being, they're okay. I think we might have reached our maximum. Going to get to the full 52,000? I don't think we will. Oh, yeah, we have. Right, so turn that off. Drop it off. Let's go to Mrs. Holland's now. If I'm not mistaken, we can sneak around the side here. I'm glad I swapped out the HR46 for the class, you know. Oh, look at that overspill. I didn't realise that had happened. Ooh, it's a bit ugly. Let's ignore that for the moment. So yeah, not far to go, which is a bit of luck, although am I going to get round here? Straighten up there. Just. Oh, that was alright. So in the time I've been recording this, the blog release that there's a video up for it. Character creation, character customization. Whoa! If you haven't seen it, and if you haven't seen the blog, have a look. Blimey, where is the sell point? Is it around the back? Let's have a quick look. There we go. Oh yeah, I mean you can customise everything. And there's branded stuff and non-branded stuff, and there's shoes and hats and gloves and clothes and tops and outfits, and you can dress up as a beekeeper, you can dress up as, I mean, literally anything. There are so many options. Male, female, hair colour, skin colour, hair type. But the great thing is, it's not fixed, because it does say in the information provided that if you go to your farmhouse and go to the wardrobe, you can change gear whenever you want. So if it's seasonal work and it's winter and it's snowing, and so let's do that, and you need to wrap up warm, you can. If you're going to go, I don't know, let's say if you're going to go and do work with your beehives, you can put on a beekeeper's outfit. If you want to, you know, it's mind-boggling. Yeah, 15 grand. So if we get that for each 3 loads, about 45, yeah, so a little under 50 grand. That'll bring the money up a little bit. And then in the morning we'll go and grab sheep. We'll get them fed and watered. I might have to replenish the greenhouse. Although I did buy more manure than I needed, which I've got in storage, so I can re-manure those. What else do I need to do? Well, oh yeah, seeding and planting of the fields. I'll do the loop round completely. Makes it a little bit easier. Harvester is back. I'd left over at field 30, forgot all about it actually. That's going to need a bit of maintenance and a bit of a jet wash. Avoid the chickens where possible. If not possible, they're fine. They're fine. So yeah, buzzing. I was thinking about it. I was talking to Silly G and a few other people about it actually, and about all the stuff that's coming with FS22. And you know, I was as guilty at first when the first sort of stuff was announced and they were talking about crop types, and you think, well, you know, to be honest with you, crop types we've had on modded maps and stuff for a while. It didn't seem like very much new was coming. And as everything, which you kind of expected, I suppose, as they've gradually unveiled and released and new information and more information about what's going to be coming, I guess that was always going to be the case, wasn't it? They were always going to unveil more stuff, and they were going to keep stuff secret as long as they could. If I got stuck on the fence on the side there. So when you think about it, even if the new version of the game had only released with almost an identical game but with cross-play and all the character customization, they're massive changes in their own right with nothing else. That's an incredible amount. So you add into that everything else, you know, with all the new build, the build mode and production chains and the crop types and the maps and all of it together. It's going to be a minefield of immersive gameplay. There's going to be so much you're going to be able to do. Let's turn that off, disconnect that. Okay, so I'll do the last load off camera, and I'll probably, oh, I didn't say, did I? Contracts, yeah. I finished the cultivating contract on field 30 and the fertilising contract disappeared. That one for 13 grand, it'd already gone. So I've taken another one on field 14, which is just the other side of the river, which looks like it's almost finished. There are some harvesting ones which I don't think I'm going to touch. A couple of them are potatoes and there's a couple of corn ones. So I'll probably, after this, I'll see you in the morning. Oh, there you go, contract on field 14 finished. That was good timing. So yeah, I'll see you in the morning, I suppose. I'll do a little bit of clean up of the animals in the morning. Replenish any feed that they need here and there. Let's swing out there, give myself a better angle this time. There we go. Lovely job. Sleep tight. We're out of 40. It's fairly early. I am going to do soybean. The money has gone down. It went up, but then came down. I spent 60,000 and bought a telehandler. Actually, you might have just seen it in the clip. I bought a John Deere 4500, 61 grand with the tyre option I went with for a telehandler, which I thought was, it's alright, isn't it? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get the field underway, and then once this is seeded with soybean, then I can fertilise it. We'll get the nitrogen sorted out, the nitrogen levels. Once I've got this going to a point where I can set a worker off, I am going to whiz up to the store, grab a livestock trailer. We're going to go and grab some sheep. So I've got the bales in the barn over there. I took the with the quad bike, I took the water trailer over, and we're going to get the sheep in. That only leaves us with pigs. Pigs will be the next thing. Well, I say the next thing. Will be the next livestock. It's not going to be the next thing we do. The next thing we're going to do is going to be the massive carrot harvest, and it's going to be pretty big. But I'm trying to work out what it's going to cost me to lease the harvesting gear. I did have to remove a tree. So I've got about 42,000 litres of wood chips sitting. I could do some more wood chipping to get my finances up. Like I said previously, in the last episode or earlier in this episode, I don't necessarily want to just rely on that. I know I fall into that trap on a lot of Let's Plays of having some kind of main source of income, finding what that is on each map, that becoming my main source of income, which funds the rest of the farm. On this one, it would be wood chip. But I want to try and, I really do want to try and do it without. Although that is proving a bit more tricky. Although leasing bits when I need them isn't too bad. I can do that. Then hopefully when the carrot harvest done, all the crops are replenished on that. This soybean harvested, ready to go. We'll see what we make on that. I'm going to put potatoes in field 36, the small one. Yeah. I think that's where I want to go with it. Of course, the other option, which I have kind of moved away from, was the biogas plant. It's a fair bit of work, and as I found, the pay wasn't brilliant, but we could wait for our field 35 to grow again, which I use for doing the grass bales for the sheep, and do those 2 fields again, cut all of them, and rather than put any away for silage, which I did for total mix ration, the whole 700,000 I need to sell it. That's an option, which, I mean, that really was my primary income before I started doing the wood chipping, so yeah, I might do that. That I'll probably do off camera though. It'll be a bit of work, but if I do it off camera, I can set a worker off doing the mowing, that's not a problem. And with that compactor, that Weber compactor, actually it wouldn't be too much of a problem, would it really, thinking about it? But the carrots are ready to be topped and then harvested. I'm really pleased with the progress. I know I said earlier, driving through the yards yesterday, I say yesterday evening, yeah, I mean this episode, but last night, coming back into the yards and there being chickens walking around the yards, and as I drove past the various different buildings, there being different bits of machinery and equipment in them. Yeah, it just feels good to be sort of making progress. I do like the fan noise from this. It does sound good. Seeding is going well. It's just gone 8, so we're down at across at the livestock market. Let's get some sheep. I think there's a shortcut I can take across the grass field that I did a contract on for silage bales, where I ended up having to deliver all of them. I think we can cut across there, and that'll bring us out towards the bridge. Saves us going all the way out into the yard, I think. So sheep. I might go with all, well, you can't really see them particularly well, but I don't think I've ever done just bar black sheep. Let's go with that. I think this takes 14. So I'm going to do 2 loads. 2 loads? Yeah. Wow, that does look strange. I've done mixtures before, but I don't think I've done one like that. I'm trying to think, what breed of black sheep? Texels? No, Texels aren't they? I'm sure someone in the comments will know. Now, I think just coming up on the left there should be a gap. I don't think it's a gateway. Pretty sure it's just a gap in the hedge, just there. If we go straight across the middle of the grass field and up over to the far end, that brings us onto the track which takes us to the bridge. I'm sure it does, because the trees to the right hand side there are the trees which are on the left hand side of field 40 and 41. Yeah, you can just about see the bridge in the distance now. Oh, it's not too bad a trek really. So I've got the water trailer over there already, and we've got the new telehandler. I was just trying to go for something fairly cheap. So again, something I hadn't used before, just a bit different. Now, I think the unload point is actually right up inside. Let's get lights on here. There we go. Tucked away in there. But you see what I mean? I put the stacks of four, and then I put the 2 on top, but it's just a little bit high on the lip. So what I tried to do with the telehandler was lift those off the top and move them back, onto that stack there, so that once I've cleared the front I can get to them easier. But in doing that I end up knocking the top layer off the next 2 stacks, so it didn't go particularly well, unfortunately. Can't do a lot about that, and we'll just have to tidy it up later on. So let's get our first load in. I'll whiz back and get the next load, then we'll get the water in. The bales, I hope it should take the bales as they are. Our trigger point should be here, I think. It is. Let's get them all in. See, this as well, I could take some trees out of here. There are quite a few. I was watching, it was on that episode of, I mentioned it a while back, the Simon Reeve when he was in Cornwall. And there was a guy there that's a sheep farmer, and he said there's not a huge amount of money in it. It gets quite difficult with land and stuff like that. So he's trying to get back to, he said, how farming would have been done thousands of years ago, when most of the UK was covered in forest. You know, it's been deforested a lot, and people that did have livestock, I know a lot of the land was cleared for livestock and that kind of thing, and before that most people were fairly nomadic to a degree, but a lot of the livestock, including sheep, would roam in the forests, and they would eat from the forest floor and stuff like that. So what he's done on his land is he has got an area of kind of forest, and he's clearing all the shrubs and stuff at the lower levels to promote more growth. He's been clearing out, thinning out some of the trees that have kind of overgrown, the dead and stuff and that kind of thing, so it allows more sunlight through the canopy. So the grass now on the ground level is growing more, so his sheep are actually foraging and eating not in open pasture land like this, but in amongst the trees within the forest. So what he's thinking of doing now is to make, you know, give something back as well, is on a lot of his pasture land he's now going to start planting more trees, so it'll be more kind of forested, and his sheep will go in and out, and it's brilliant, really. I mean, I suppose, you know, it depends on the size of your flock, and there are all sorts of factors, I would imagine, that are in play there. And but he doesn't sell his as lamb, he sells his as mutton, because he said that the flavour of the meat's a lot stronger, and the butcher's near where he is looking for that, a supplier for that, so that he's kind of filling a gap in the market. But there you go, it's just another way of doing things, isn't it? Wasn't sure if there was going to be something coming. Okay, I'll see you back there in a minute when I've got the next 14 loaded, and then let's get them fed and watered. Once filled, 40 is planted, I'll get the fertilising done on that, and we should be good to go. I last night did go out over field 35. That has now been pH'd, and it has been nitrogened. So obviously we cut all that the other day to get all the grass bales. That's now ready to go again, and then what we will do, like I said, maybe 35 and 34 off screen, I'll cut them both again, clear all the grass off them again, put it in the biogas plant, compact it, and we should get some revenue off that, because they're two big grass fields. If I'm not doing any grass bales or hay or anything at the moment, I might as well use them, because they're fields that, for all intents and purposes, the grass in them is the crop. So I might as well use that crop to my advantage. Okay. They're all in. That's what I mean. The only say downside to having the black sheep rather than whites, or white and black, is you can't really see them. At least like the white ones, they really stand out. But stealth sheep, low vis. Okay, let's move this out of the way. Let's grab water next. It's a bit dark over here. Maybe I do need to thin some of the trees out. Don't get a lot of light till later in the day, and even then it's a bit shaded because of the direction that the actual shelter's in. They may need more than we've got in here. Oh, that's all right. Then let's get some bales in then. Should I bring 4? Just thinking, 28 sheep. We'll do 4 to start off. We might need some more. What's that done? Nice. And then let's give this a go. So all of this I did buy. So we have got the V-Grab on the front. I did buy another PT25 weight for the back. It's not the biggest of telehandlers or anything like that. Can I get them out past that post? You may find this is where I didn't actually put them in as well as I could have. Maybe if I do it from an angle. Don't catch any others. Nope. Okay. What about? Let's do that. This is not ideal, but it still grab them at a slight angle. No. Ugh. You know what? If I grab... Oh no, those have got a load on top. This is... I've made a rock meal of this, haven't I? It's because they've just... That second lot has just pushed itself over a bit, hasn't it? Come on. Come on now. Play ball. Just mind that post one. Ah. This is supposed to be easy. Oh, that doesn't look good. The end stack's all collapsed as well. Look at the state of that. My stacking has... Something has gone horribly wrong here. This was not supposed to take this long. This was supposed to be quick and easy. Come on now. I'll tell you what, even with the weight on the back, it's interesting that the last telehandler did no problem at all. I suppose because it's a smaller telehandler, it just seems to be a little bit weighted the other way. I need to reorganise all those bales. Oh, okay. How are we looking then? It doesn't seem to want that last one. Sheep 28. Cleanliness fine. Water full. Grass and hay full. We should start getting wool and being productive in no time at all. Chickens are doing great. We've got one on the go, and our cows are going to need cleaning out. But I suppose what I'll do, I think I'll get a bucket for this telehandler, because I can clean the feed area with the mixer wagon, but it won't pick up manure. So manure, slurry, milk, 1,111 litres. We are looking pretty good. I'm going to leave this in the zone. If I put it just on the corner, that way I should still be able to clean out the feed area when I make a mess, and it should still take from the bale in theory. Let's put that about there. I'm going to get a bucket for this so I can take it up to the yard and we can clean out the cows. But for now, with field 40 field 40? Yeah, field 40 being planted with soybean, we are good to go for this episode. Next episode, massive carrot harvest. I look forward to seeing you all then. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you have, please give us a like. If you don't subscribe yet, please do. If you want to leave a comment, feel free. And if you want to share this video, then please be my guest. Whatever you should choose to do. Thanks for watching.